RishiJi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Come on. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Yes, because I just got hurt on my face, and I have a black eye with a
Oh,
with a patch on my face like a bandit. So
uh,
that's why maybe I'm not coming on the screen
uh,
if I don't make others uncomfortable with this. So so or maybe I can come on the screen. It's okay.
the eye will be all right, though.
Sorry.
Will the eye be all right in the end?
I didn't understand your question.
This injury, is it severe injury or temporary injury?
It is good. It just looks ugly in this moment. That's all.
Ah, yes, I know. I recognize this experience. Yes.
So maybe I come on the screen anyhow.
Mm.
Rishiji, I'm so thankful that you allow this all of us to come forward like this and on a regular basis. And especially with me, I'm quite often coming in front of you with questions because maybe I'm where I'm staying now with my family. Um, as this lady asked, and the other lady with the voice message also asked. So there's more and more recognition, more peace, but along with that, the turmoil is also coming. Mind attack is also coming.
Yes.
And there's more awareness, in the midst of a turmoil or a tsunami, but still I cannot deny that mind is trying its best to, all the possible ways coming forward. So my question is that I've been here with this family means it's just I feel that everybody I have no longer a feeling of this is my family or not or anybody else. It's just that everyone feels as myself. It's just so that someone I don't know and somebody I knew for it's just feeling the same about them.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah,
So
very nice.
yes, so in this kind of a hard understanding, and because now when I'm here and it's been some time, and before this, when I was in Tiruvannamalai on my own, I think I had asked you also, but again I am bringing this forward that it feels that being here in the midst of this, or I'm getting more and more sensitive.
Sensitive in what way?
That I feel things energetically and I inside me and outwardly outside in people. So does this that when people are around you, you're living in a place where people are very much identified. Does this affect your sadhana?
Are you saying that it affects your sadhana?
Yes, that when you're in the midst of a midst of a family, like midst of people who are very much identified and very much seeking the world. And it's not coming out of judgment, because I completely understand that that's what it is in this moment for them. So so my and there's so because of this, there's a kind of a seeming gap between the way I look at things in life and that the way they look at things in life. So there's a gap, and so there's a even because of this, the gap of communication also comes. So
Yes, and it becomes very easy to see the limits of verbal and mental communication and emotional communication in that circumstance, doesn't it? This is this can be a primary pointer for you to enter more deeply into silence and to learn when to be quiet, even when you're around other people. This is not an easy thing to do. It's particularly difficult with family because, if you have the conditioning you have as you have it, and the triggers that you have in relation to that conditioning, the foundation of those triggers and that conditioning often lies in the family. So it can be very, very challenging when you are a sadhak to continue your sadhana when you are around a large group of people who, not through direct conscious comprehension, but just through the unconscious aspects of living together over many years, they just sort of naturally know where all of your triggers are. And so it's very easy for them, not intentionally, but it's just very easy through the interaction for them to trigger those residual amounts of conditioning. Of course, one of the primary ways that this happens in families is that no matter how old you get, you are never treated as though you are any different than you were when you were 10. This happens in families, all of our families. So yes, you are in a very difficult circumstance for sadhana, to continue to do sadhana while trying to reside in your birth family. For some people, this is not so much of an issue. There is a strong recognition of who I am, and there isn't a need to assert that or demand that you know who I am. It's only necessary for me to know who I am, and if I know who I am, then I can live anywhere. But until that point, it can be really challenging, as you say, to live in the family embrace.
so it means that I should continue to live and make use of this kind of situation and to grow in this.
Do you feel it's serving you or not?
Not really. I feel that it's just I'm getting more and more, in a way. It's just draining my energy in a way.
Yeah.
A lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
so
yes, you were saying something.
I was just going to say, so this is the direct experience of why yogis go to caves, why people go to ashrams, why people go to temples. Yeah, is it because there's a too much tension between this desire to enter into the self and the desire of, in this case, family members, to keep you engaged in the identity of that which is not real. The identity of the family, the identity of the history, the identity of the circumstances, and the family wants to keep you engaged in that. But this is why saints and sages have always wandered off to Arunachala, or wandered off to Jerusalem in the or wandered off to India in some way, uh, just in order to begin to provide the space for this recognition that I am the self to take a deep root. At the point that there is a deep root, then it's not important where you are, whether you're in the city or in the country, whether you're on a mountaintop or you're at the seashore. It makes no difference. So that's why I asked you, how is it for you? And if there is a recognition that this is no longer serving me, it's no longer serving the family, then you must ask yourself, what would make me happy? And I don't mean the me of the ego. I mean, when I say what would make me happy, I mean, what will lead to happiness? For someone who has committed to sadhana, there's only one true happiness, and this is the recognition of the self. So if there's a sense that I cannot fully embrace my own silence, my own self in this environment, then I will do something else. Papaji there's a famous story that Papaji told, and you may have heard this one, of course. I'm sure that you probably have. But someone showed up at Satsang and said, I'm such a failure. I don't understand how I can live in this way. I late at night when it's quiet, I feel the presence of the self. But first thing in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, as soon as it's light, there's all this banging and clanging and noise that's going on because I live above a body shop. You know this, a body shop? Someplace where cars are fixed and there's all this hammering and pounding. This is in the old days. Nowadays, they have these nice machines that just pop things out and put things back in place. But in the old days, when cars were made of steel, there was just this constant hammering and pounding going on. And so this man was living above a body shop. And so in the morning, he would be there at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, trying to sit on his cushion, trying to meditate, and just becoming more and more angry, more and more disturbed, more and more upset. And he said, I don't know what to do. How can I make my practice so strong that I'm not disturbed? And Papaji just looked at him and said, move. Just move and go back to practicing. So it's always upon us to, in some way, know where we are in our sadhana, know what is useful for us, or to know where we are in our recognition of the real, and to know what is useful and supportive of us remaining in that recognition of the real. And then to make a decision that's based on what we know is our true purpose, which is not to identify with the family, to identify with the circumstances, to identify with the requirements of our own conditioning, but rather to acknowledge this is who I am. I am this silence, this being, consciousness and bliss. And so I am free in this circumstance to wander away. I am in a way saying I am of no use here. So I will just wander away. And to do that peacefully and calmly and with love and gentleness and without, like you say, without criticism, without any judgment at all. Just the recognition of this is who I am. This is the presence which is here now. And this presence is just free to walk away without a problem. For a long time, when we take up spiritual life, it's necessary in some way to keep asking ourselves, does what I allow in the world, in my thinking, in my feeling, does this support awakening? Or does it, in my behaviors internally, does this support awakening? Does this support the understanding that I am the self? Or does it detract from that understanding? And so this is not just to say, remove a person or remove a situation. It's also to say, look in the mind. At the root of every kind of disturbance is the belief of something that which is false. And sometimes we continue habits in the mind, ways of thinking, perceiving, and being in our own minds, which are not supportive of the recognition, I am the self. We are believing some false notion based on conditioning. And so all throughout our sadhana, in a way, we are being asked to look very consciously at the way that we are thinking, feeling, being, acting, the way we are living, and saying, does this support the truth of my own nature, which I am the self? And if it doesn't, best to walk away in some way, drop a habit, stop a behavior, change your diet, all different ways in which because all of these small little steps taken over a long period of time lead to this firm foundation where there is the recognition present, that which is aware is here now, and whatever comes and goes in that is not a disturbance of any sort. So this is an undertaking that we have to constantly make. There is no one else who can say to you, this is the right circumstance for your sadhana. Only you can do that. There can be general guidelines, of course, in all of the spiritual traditions, there are general guidelines, even around things like diet, periods of meditation, where you live, the people you surround yourself with, the number of times you go to satsang over the course of a week or month or year. All of these things are just supports. Ultimately, you have to be the one who says, today I will go to satsang. This moment I will sit. This moment I will stop thinking in this way and I will think in this way. This is your responsibility. The master can only point the way for you. It's up to you to walk it and to know what is necessary for you as a sadhak. Don't fool yourself. Don't be delusionary about it. Don't tell yourself you are being a good sadhak while you are harming other people, for instance. But know what is necessary for you for in this moment, and understand that something that may be necessary for you in this moment, something that you may decide to do or to stop doing, this may be necessary for you in this moment, but at another moment of deeper understanding, of deeper wisdom, it won't be necessary to put that kind of guardrail, if you will, that kind of fence around your sadhana to protect it, to keep you going in the direction of knowing that you are the self. This is all only for the ego mind, only for the mind that believes that it somehow needs to do something, somehow needs to solve some problem, which of course it doesn't realize it has created on its own anyway. But nonetheless, you do what's necessary to protect your sadhana at any moment that it feels necessary to do that. Yeah.
Like, if I could share this, that for a while, there's this strong, continuous urge or thoughts, I could say that, to move away, move away in a way, continuous. It just doesn't stop, as if something is like just wants to saying from inside that just go, and it's like and there's a deep calling from Arunachala, like as if it's calling me. So just yes.
Yes, well, sometimes the only way that you can know for sure whether what you're being called to do is true or not, or it was just another mind game that was being played, the only way you can know is to actually do it, because this is experience, right? Experience will tell us whether we were, in other words, if you get to Arunachala, you will know within a day or a week whether or not you are actually called to Arunachala because you are going deeply inside, or whether you go to Arunachala and your mind is still just busy and you're just doing all of the same usual things and distracting yourself in all of the same usual ways with just a different group of people. Then you know that the mind was playing tricks on you.
What happened that before this I was there in Arunachala for 7 months. I think I've shared this with you. What I discovered or what I realized that before that also I was here in the same energetic. When I went there, in few days, few weeks, and few months, a lot of energetic thoughts, emotions, conditioning just dropped away, like as if it was never mine. I just put it on because of being in some kind of a place, or it just dropped in,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
could just see, oh my God, I was never all this. It just vanished, and I was more and more living as a more transparent. I became more transparent for myself. And then when I come back here, initially it was the same transparency, but and nothing could touch me. But slowly and gradually, some patterns or some conditioning again creeps in, which is, I feel as if it's just that. I don't. That is what my question is, that if you are living in some kind of environment, some energy, some kind of energy, which is not you, but it just, or is it you, or how to say that when you come in a certain kind of environment, the energetic charge of that place or the people, does it start to kind of get into your own pattern, thought of pattern, or your conditioning seeps in, and you start to feel that, I am started. Does this affect you in some ways? This is also one of my, which I'm recognizing, or
So conditions always will challenge a person, sage or not. Conditions will always challenge to a certain degree. But that degree of challenge becomes less and less and less as there is a strengthening of the ability to remain as the seer. What you're describing in terms of your experience and what happened is just an indicator that if you come into the circumstances that you're in now, over time that has a tendency to sort of wear away the strength of your sadhana. Well, this is only because you haven't yet mastered the outward flow of attention. So over the years that I've known you, even, it has been obvious that given, certain circumstances, your attention can rest very easily in the heart and in the center of being. So when you say, but when I came here, then this slowly wears away, what you're indicating is that you don't yet have a full, I don't want to really say it this way, but I can't think of another way right now. You don't really have a full grasp of the ways in which attention goes out. And so that's why I say the challenge of being with the family is that the family in so many ways unconsciously is able to draw attention away from the heart itself and back into the circumstances and the conditioning of the way that the family has always interacted and always been. So this is not a matter of saying that the only solution is to move away. If you can use that circumstance to be able to master the self-presence in that circumstance, you will be fine. But if you can't, then you have to follow the metaphor that Bhagavan used to use, which is if you've come into the shade of the banyan tree from the scorching sun, stay there. It's only the fool who, having found the shade, decides it's a good idea to go back out into the scorching sun. So this is the way that conditioning works and habit works. It pulls us back and forth and back and forth and back and forth from shade to the scorching sun, shade to the scorching sun. So in a way, I'm saying to you, come to the place where you recognize that the next step for you is this full stopping that Muji Baba speaks about so eloquently. This full stopping where you recognize that if you are being drawn out by any circumstances around you, you need to keep coming back to full stop. And this full stop is the heart of the self, which will allow you to still be in the circumstances that you're in, but without being attracted out, back out into that scorching sun over and over and over. If you're not able to do that, and you know where the shade is, then go to the shade and sit down. There's this game that the mind does like to play, and I don't know that your mind is playing this, but there is this game that the mind likes to play where it likes to go back into circumstances which didn't serve it before to see if they can manage it now. This is also another ego position. In other words, the self is not the manifested presence. What's happening is the ego is saying, oh, I can do this. I can do this. This will test my realization. And so I will go back in to this circumstance which is unsatisfactory. The mind sometimes like to play this game, but this is an ego game. Because if you're resting in the self as being consciousness, when you find the shade, you're too lazy to get up and go anywhere. Why go out again? So for you, I can say, Kamal, this full stop in the circumstance you're in is that you have to stop noticing this sense of being disturbed, of being upset by the circumstances, of not, you must come to this full recognition that I am here as awareness itself. And this body mind, which has manifested as Kamal, he is dead. So I am not interested in any reactions that are going on in the body or mind. Keep asking this question, what is aware here? Under all those circumstances that come up every day, 100 times a day, 200 times a day, with family members and so on. What is aware here? This will bring you to full stop. Until that happens, there's going to be this tendency to see some attraction to something that's going on in the environment, and then to feel some disturbance about that. If you have the strength to be able to persistently and consistently ask this question, not what am I aware of, so that you then become disturbed by what you are aware of, but simply to notice that which is aware is here now, under every circumstance. Full stop.
The recognition you are talking about here and now is very much present, but when full stop, you mean, is not yet happened. But the recognition here and now is like the, the way I recognize myself as awareness now. Before it was different. Now it's like it's just me, It's just understanding is deeper and more continuous, effortless. But I cannot say that it is completely stopped. But as you say this, that yes, I should continue to be with it until it stops in my understanding. I will do this.
Do this. Remind yourself there is no one here. Awareness is here, but I am not. There is no one here. In order for there to be an attachment or an expectation around any other person or any other experience, there must be this feeling that there is someone here. Because there is that feeling that there is someone here. There is a somebody doing something, going somewhere, getting something. The realization of the self is the full recognition that there is no one here. And yet, somehow, this self keeps flowering as all of this. But this is not me. This is the self which is flowering here. All right, dear friends. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Raminaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Raminaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Raminaya. Be well and peaceful. Namaste.